This is May 12th in beautiful Los Angeles at UCLA, where we are about to hear a personal commitment speech from Samara. She stands before you managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, fighting friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi, I'm Samara.
Hi, Samara.
Corrie ten Boom, an author and savior of many Jews during the Holocaust, once said, "Worrying is carrying tomorrow's load with today's strength, carrying 2 days at once. It is moving into tomorrow ahead of time. It does not relieve tomorrow of its sorrow, but it empties today of its strength. For as long as I can remember, I have struggled with controlling my anxiety. It's taken a toll on my mental health and my energy levels, and so today I'm going to talk to you about my personal commitment to trying to be more calm. I'll give you 2 reasons and 3 actions I have taken to demonstrate this personal commitment, and I believe this is interesting for everyone because everyone has experienced anxiety at some point during their lives, and my draining experiences might be helpful to anyone that might be going through the same thing. So the first reason why I have this personal commitment is to improve my health and sleeping patterns. So whenever anyone asks me how I'm doing, my response is almost always, I'm tired. It's been my response for the longest time, no matter what day in the week it is or how late in the day my classes are, my response is almost always the same. I can't sleep. Even when I try to go to bed at an earlier time, my thoughts and constant worrying will also keep me up until just hours before it's time for me to wake up. And so I was able to maintain this habit throughout high school, but once I got to college, it started to take a toll on my schoolwork. I would go to lecture, and I was able to retain any information the professor was giving out because I was so tired. And I felt like, at first I thought it was because the class was too early on in the day, but so the next quarter I tried to take later classes in the day, and it didn't make a difference. And this made me feel like I really needed change. I knew this wasn't normal, and I shouldn't be letting my anxiety control me like this. And so the second reason why I personally committed to being more calm is because it prevents me from focusing on one thing when I'm stressed about another. So I tend to get so focused on one task that I can't complete anything else until the first task is done. And so I was taking this one course, I had to lead this discussion for this course, and it was a humanities class. I honestly don't know why I took it. I'm so bad with humanities. It takes me so long to understand a concept. But anyway, the day that I had to lead this discussion happened to fall on the day I had a midterm for another class. And I was so nervous about this discussion that I couldn't focus on studying for my midterm. And even though I knew I had a full day to prepare for it, after I finished my midterm, I couldn't bear to know that I still had to do more research and reread to prevent embarrassing myself in front of the class. And so I ended up not studying that much for it, and I didn't do so well on it, despite it being in a subject I normally do pretty well in. And so this made me feel really disappointed because I knew I could have done so much better on the midterm, and that I severely over-prepared for my discussion, and I really regretted letting my anxiety control me like that. And so now I'm going to talk about 3 actions that I've taken to try and to do my personal commitment. And the first action is that now I plan out all of my assignments. I carry around a personal planner with me, and I have a giant whiteboard calendar in my room to help me see upcoming assignments and when I should complete them by. And this helps me by visually seeing how much time I should allow for each assignment, and this prevents me from over-stressing about one assignment that's not due for a long time. The second thing I have done is that I won't worry about anything that I can't fix, and this helps reorganize my energy levels to only focus on the things that I can fix, and this helps me by, it also helps me fall asleep easier because I no longer have 50 million different things running through my mind. And the third thing I have done is that if the situation begins to overwhelm me, I'll walk away from it and come back to it later. And this helps me by not making any rash decisions based on irrational thinking. And when I did these actions, it made me feel really stressed. It prioritized my assignments, and I was able to do better in school. I was more focused, and I was able to sleep easier. So, in summary, I have told you about my personal commitment to be more calm. I have told you 2 reasons and 3 actions I have done to complete this goal. And there should be no doubt in this room that I do have a personal commitment to being more calm. If not managed correctly, anxiety can become very debilitating and draining to one's life. which is why I try to make all these positive changes in my life because I no longer wanted to be held back by it. And as Corey Ten Boom quoted previously, I no longer feel drained of today's strength.
Thank you. Time?
4:32.
4:32. Thank you. All right, let's start over there today. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Samara, I really enjoyed your speech. I could tell that you're really comfortable up there, and I've noticed that your comfortableness level has really increased with each speech that you've done. You walked purposefully, so it was able to break it up a little bit, so I could really stay involved. And I really like the structure of your speech because it made it easy to follow and it kept me engaged.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Devin.
Hi, Devin.
I really enjoyed your speech. I completely relate, and I agree with what Emily said. You seem really comfortable up there. I think the only thing is that you maybe try to project a little bit more. I noticed that you're talking more loudly than you have in the past, but just maybe a little bit more, so we can hear more of your vocal variety that you're trying out.
That's a good suggestion. Samara, well, I asked for personal and I got it. So thank you for that, and thank you for trusting us to stay there. Share something very personal about yourself. That was good. And I admire your courage for doing that. When you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you're going to see that you were moving along at a pretty good pace. Too fast, in my judgment. I would slow down for your Corey Ten Boom quote so that it's a little bit more meaningful to your audience. Stress keywords. So the quote really stands out and is meaningful. You just kind of really whipped it out fast, see, and expected us to comprehend as if we were speed readers. Your goal was to stay calm, and your preview was fine, and your SIG statement, as you related it to the audience, was perfect. You gave 2 reasons. You shared with us that you normally feel tired, and that you were that way in high school, and that you couldn't retain information, and that you couldn't answer discussion class questions, and you were tired in class, and lots of stuff, very personal things, and I appreciate you sharing that. So it was clearly this anxiety was impacting your ability to function normally as a student, and you communicated that well. The second thing that your second reason was that it prevented you from focusing on other tasks, and much like you were compulsive about it, you could only do one thing at a time until that was done, and you gave the examples of the humanities class, which didn't go well, right? Yeah. So now comes the actions that you have taken, and you got yourself a whiteboard and a portable planner so you can see what's out there for you, and that apparently has helped. The second thing you said is you have sort of done this self-psychology, I call it, of I don't worry about any things I can't fix. And God give you the wisdom to know the difference, huh? And you don't waste energy, and you're sleeping easier. The third thing I've done with tasks is overwhelming. I walk away and come back to it when my head is clear. Let me suggest a couple of other things. The student counseling service is here and available, and sometimes could provide some useful perspective on this. Meditation has students have reported to me has been helpful in making them calm and more purposeful and more directed. People have told me that transcendental meditation, for example, has worked for them. Yesterday in the Wall Street Journal, there was an article on how to fall asleep more easily. So you might want to take a look at the Wall Street Journal and see if that helps you. Because clearly if you're not sleeping, this just compounds the anxiety and the problem. So when I take these actions, you obviously feel better, and that was, you did that step, and that was good. Your summary was good, your conclusion was good, and your tie back to the Corrie ten Boom quote was fine. You said, don't forget how the actions made me feel, stay within the time limit, and move 3 times. How did that go?
I think I did pretty good. I moved 3 times and stayed within the time limit, and I didn't forget any part of the speech.
Yes, you did it without notes, and that was excellent. Let me suggest one thing about your movement. I prefer you move to the left, to the right, and then come back and end up in the very center of the room for your final ending. You ended up ending your speech to your left and delivered most of it from over there. And I think it's more powerful to be back in the center of the room for your final part of your speech. But overall, you did an excellent job, and you shared a very personal commitment, which was the purpose of the assignment. So you achieved the purpose. Thank you. Okay, that will bring us to...
I'm gonna be going to try to go today.
If we get the...
Okay.
When you're absent, you get potluck. Or maybe you'll have to do it during office hours. Let's go to... Is there a Sunny?
Yeah.
Sunny. Sunny DeSalle. Yeah. Hi, Sunny.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good, you?
Good. No name on this. Good. Okay, we're on a roll. Let's wait for the late arrival to get settled. There is a handout. Oh, you're tall. Yeah. Okay. There we go. That works. He's standing before you, managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, saying to himself, I respect my audience. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi everyone, my name's Sunny.
Hi, Sonny.
Hi. So I actually am doing a topic that I think was done last class too, so that won't be a problem. But I'm gonna start off with a quote, I want to say, by Tumblr user Beauty and the Burrito. The quote was, "Do it with passion or not at all." And while I agree with that quote, I feel like most of us could take it in many different ways. The way I took it was that do life with passion or not at all. And I know that's kind of dark, but that's the way I feel about it. And so during this speech, I'm going to talk about why I'm personally committed to passion, or to finding my passion, and 2 reasons for that, and 3 actions I have taken to help me achieve that. I believe this speech is important to all of you because, in my opinion, life is a lot better if you know what your passion is, or at least strive to find out what it is. And so what I'm going to start with is my first reason of why I decided to find my passion. I grew up in an affluent, suburban area of Michigan. It was very Jewish and very rich. But also I grew up in a major city, being Mumbai, India, where you have kind of the opposite. So I saw both the rich side of the social status of the world and the poor side. And Obama actually today gave a speech saying that poor people don't always have to be poor. And while that might be true in America, in developing countries that isn't exactly the case. Like in my time in India, I've met numerous people who are of the lower socioeconomic status, and while it's sad to meet, it's even sadder to think that they don't really have upwards mobility in social class, considering that's all they know. So that's one thing. Being lucky enough to have been born into a well-off family, I want to make sure that life isn't wasted, and I find my passion and try to enjoy it to the fullest. My second reason is I'm currently, hence the fancy clothes, rushing a pre-law fraternity, and we have to interview every active in the fraternity. So one of them I was talking to, and she was like, "What's your passion?" And I just couldn't think of anything, so for brownie points I was like, "Children. I love children." And she was like, "Oh, that's cool. My passion's the Constitution." And then she went on a tangent for I want to say 20 minutes about just the Constitution, of America. And while it's not this most insanely awesome passion, the way her eyes lit up while talking about the Constitution just made me feel disappointed in myself that I didn't have anything to talk about that way. And so that's another reason of why I want to find out what my passion is. 3 actions I've taken. Well, one, I've tried to be more involved on campus, join the pre-law fraternity. I always was good at arguing. In my opinion, having siblings is better than any debate prep course you could have. So I figured law might, help me out. So that's what I'm doing right now. Another thing I'm doing is getting involved off campus. Over the summer, I am assistant coaching a youth soccer team in Bel Air. And so, that could be my passion. I have no idea. And my last thing that I've been doing is talking to people. I recently just started making random conversation with strangers just to see what they're interested in, because I feel like people have different passions and you could have similar interests and it could just lead you on like that. So, all in all, I have 2 reasons why I want to find my passion. One being what I've seen in the world, and I don't want to be on my deathbed and be I don't know what I did with my life. 2 being talking to people who are just super interested in their passion is encouraging. The 3 actions I've taken was getting involved on campus, getting involved off campus, and talking to people. So all in all, I still do believe in the quote by Beauty and the Burrito, that you should do it with passion or not at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're here, I guess.
Hi guys, I'm Silvio.
Hi, Silvio.
What I really liked about your speech was, besides the fact that you
Step back a little bit.
humor into it, which made it very enjoyable. You also were extremely relatable. You gave us a lot of information about your background and how that affects how you perceive yourself and how you want to better yourself and stuff like that. So I really liked it, and they felt really resonant. Thank you.
Improvement.
Hi, I'm Ava.
Hi, Ava.
Your speech was really good. I think it was a little too casual though, and there were some ums in there. So.
What was the time?
4:42.
4:42. Well, Sonny, gosh, I'm glad you took out the swear word that you had on your page. That was good. You started with a quote about passion, and you devoted your speech to what you said was you want to find your passion. And in a moment, I'll suggest some alternative ways for you to find that. On your thesis was fine. You wanted to develop your action, and some actions you take, find your passion. Your sixth statement was okay. On your first reason, you talked about the contrast of living in what you called a wealthy suburb of Michigan and yet coming from Mumbai, where there were poor people, where there's a strict caste system and there's no upward mobility or little upward mobility. That little of that is changing, but not much. And I guess, you were saying I was blessed by not being in a poor situation, and so I don't want to waste this opportunity that I've been given. I must tell you, sometimes I think that wealthy parents ruin their children by making it too easy for them and taking the fire from their belly, if you know what I mean. Everything is expected, or there's a sense of entitlement that I see on this campus an awful lot that saddens me, because there is no sense of entitlement in this world, you'll discover. On your second reason, you told the story of an interview where you said glibly you like children, and she said she loved the Constitution, and she went on about it for 20 minutes, and it embarrassed you because you had no such similar passion as she did, and so this was a contrast for you. So far I'm not getting a lot of personal stuff from you, but these were fairly passable reasons for why you want to find your passion. On your actions, you said you joined the pre-law fraternity to see if arguing is your passion. You said that you're coaching soccer in Bel Air, and you seem to be fixated a lot in mentioning Bel Air and rich suburbs in Michigan and things like that. And I'm not so sure that that's so important in conversation, if you know what I mean. And the third thing is, you said I've been talking to random strangers just to meet people. As I said to another member of class, on the class website I have a chapter in a text from a book called This Book Is Not Required by Inga Bell, and a little test of self-evaluation of how to sort of find yourself and your passion. So you may want to take it if you're interested and see if it helps you find a focus. Your summary, your conclusion, your tie back were fine. Your goals were to move 3 times, to make eye contact, and to have volume control. How did it go?
I moved once, I think.
Right.
Stayed there.
Yeah.
Eye contact I thought was okay.
Yeah.
And I tried to remain loud. Like, I know last time I kind of dropped off in the middle, but
Right.
I don't think I did.
Right. I think it would help to have a emphatic style of delivery where you are soft and loud and sometimes fast, sometimes slow, so you're more interesting to listen to. But overall, you got the job done. Thank you. Okay, that will bring us to Quan Nugent. He dropped, or he's not in class, or what? Okay, it's a big 0. Anybody know Quan? Is that somebody's study buddy? Okay, good. Okay, coming up, that will bring us to Ashley. Ashley.
Hello.
She comes sick, boy. See? Fire in her belly. Okay, she stands. Wait, let me get you set. You're different. You can stand right in the front of the green. Yeah, good. She stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love. Oh, he's writing. Start your speech.
Hi everyone, my name's Ashley. And
Hi, Ashley.
Okay, please bear with me because I don't feel too well right now. Anyways, so on the very first day of class, Professor Miller showed us a video of Steve Jobs talking at Stanford, giving his commencement speech, and just trying to encourage and inspire the newly graduated students to find their passion and do what they love. So he said, the only way to be truly satisfied is to do great work. And the only way to do great work is to do what you love. Well, so I'm here today to share with you my passion, to share with you my personal commitment to turning my passion into my career. And I've mentioned this before that I really love sports. So that's what I want to do. I want to work with sports in the future. And I'm going to share with you 2 reasons and 3 actions that I have taken to achieve my goal. So the first reason I'm personally committed to working in the sports industry in the future is because I want to be motivated. So generally people who are doing what they love are more motivated, more productive at their work. And last year I had this office job and I wasn't too fond of it. Like, they required me to bookkeep, file, input data in a computer, and I just hated it. I mean, I got paid relatively well. Like, I made a little bit slightly above minimum wage, and that was great, but I came to realize that I hated working the 9-to-5 day job. And for some people that's okay. For some people that's what they want. They want stability. But for me, I realized that I didn't want that. And I actually started adopting bad working habits. So I would begrudgingly do my work. I would complain a lot to like the other coworkers that what we were doing was pointless and I could be doing something else with my time. So I just realized that I wanted to do something that I actually love, because by doing something that I loved or actually was interested in, I would feel more motivated and more dedicated and just be a better person overall, so that to be a better employee that my employer deserves. So the second reason that I want to work in the sports industry is because it makes me feel happy. And this past spring break, I had the opportunity to work for the NCAA men's basketball March Madness tournament, and I thought that was pretty cool because I grew up here in LA. I'm from LA, and this required me to work at the Staples Center. And I thought it was really great because I had I worked as media and I had access to the tunnels, to the locker rooms. I met all the players and all the coaches, and I met all these people who work in the sports industry, and it just encouraged me to work harder. It inspired me, and it made me want to be them. It made me want to achieve where they are. So I felt happy doing that job, and I just want to always feel happy and always feel proud of what I'm doing. So now I'm going to share with you 3 actions that I have taken. I currently work at UCLA Athletics, and this has provided me with many opportunities. And secondly, with all these opportunities, whether big or small, I've decided to just take them, because whether they're paid or unpaid, because you never know when this will be relevant or you can learn something from this job. And thirdly, I with all the people that I've met in each job, I've decided to connect with them on a more personal level and just follow up and just network with them. Because, again, you'll never know when they might need you or you might need them in the future.
Mhm.
So, in summary, I have told you 2 reasons and 3 actions that I have taken to making sure that I will work in the sports industry in the future. And to tie it all back, Steve Jobs is right. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. Thank you.
Time.
Sorry.
4:55.
4:55. Boy, she cut it close. All right. I think we're here.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
I really liked your speech. It was very clear, very organized. I think you did a great job with eye contact. I felt like you looked at me and I saw that you were like looking at the rest of the room, and I think you also used really good hand motions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Eye contact and emotions. Yes, please.
I'm Samara.
Hi, Samara.
I really liked your speech. The only thing I could think about is that you use filler words sometimes. But
Use what?
Filler words.
Filler words, yeah.
But it was very little, so good job.
Thank you.
Actually, when you're sick or whatever, just man up. Don't apologize. It lowers your expectations. Just do it.
Okay.
Okay? It's not good to say, I've been up all night with a cough or blah, blah, blah. It's appeal to pity, and it's not good. So never apologize. Love the Steve Jobs quote. It was a good grabber. It was something that everyone had heard, they could relate to. It was a good quote. We just had another speech similar, so, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That was good. I noticed you had a transitional sentence that you left out getting to your thesis, but, that's a minor thing. So you turn to your thesis, which is wanting to turn your passion into a career, and you had a thesis preview, and you took a position, and you said you're going to give us 3 actions that you've taken, and you did that. And your 6th statement was good. Now, on your first story of your first reason, you told us of working in an office, and you were paid a little bit above minimum wage, and you were doing basic office work, but you weren't happy, and it was kind of a bad scene, and you found yourself whining and complaining and not doing such a good job. And from that, you learned what you didn't want to do. And sadly, many times jobs have an element to them, even when you're doing your passion, that have a little drudge to them as well. I love coaching the debating team, but I don't like making travel arrangements, but that, comes with the territory. On the your second reason or story, I thought this was where you really were shining, where you talked about working March Madness and being in the Staples Center. We could feel you come alive. We could feel your passion and your emotions, and it was a good communication of feeling there. Now, God help you get that job. They're hard to get, but you're doing the right thing, and I'm going to highlight one of the things that I think in particular that you're doing right. So you had 3 actions. You said you've connected with UCLA athletics, and that empire over there can open a lot of doors, so I would stick with that and them as long as you can. Networking and follow-up, yes. Absolutely essential. Of sending thank you notes and letters to people you've worked with, of everyone you've met, of having a card, of taking cards, of meeting people, and just getting your name out there. And then taking any job, paid or unpaid. I can't tell you of how many students have gone to law firms, and law firms love their unpaid internship so much they said, come back after law school, we'll hire you. And it's the same with any kind of, if you can get your foot in the door and show that you're excellent, even if it's unpaid, it often is a way to get a paid job in that business. So that was good. Now, sadly, you skipped the fourth step of how you feel when you take these actions. And you said, I perform these actions, I feel like I'm in control of my life. I know I've tried everything. It's risky, it's scary, but it's worth everything to try it. That's another way to reconnect with your audience, and that's why I put that emotional step back in there. It's the fourth step. Your summary, your conclusion, and your tie back to Steve Jobs were all excellent. You said move 3 times, have a good opening and welcoming stance rather than looking tense by collapsing my hands, and stay within the time limit. How did it go?
I think I did 2 out of the 3. I tried to move, and
Yes, you did.
I stayed within the time limit. I cut it close, but I managed to do it. I did realize that I was holding my hands, and then I would try to stop.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, I would subconsciously just go back to it.
Yeah. Well, it will come, and the more you can watch yourself and see when you're doing it. And if when you practice, not in front of a mirror, but with a live person, which is the best kind of practice, you tell your study buddy or your brother or your lover or whoever is looking at you, I don't want to grasp my hand, and they point to it when you're doing it, because you're doing it unconsciously. Then that will help you. Overall, you did a nice job, Ashley. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to Rachel.
I'm a D.
You are?
Rachel Owen?
No, Rachel Curria.
Absent.
Absent? Jeez. Big 0. Okay, Esmeralda. Okay, let me get you set. You're a little taller, so maybe a half step back, please. There you go. Good. Oh, good. I can get you now. Good. She stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hello, everybody. My name is Esmeralda.
Hi, Esmeralda.
Lao Tzu once said, kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness. Kindness in giving creates love. These are wise words to live by, but something I've come to realize is that being kind to others is often easier than being kind to yourself. Today, I want to talk about my personal commitment to being more kind to myself. And so I will give you 2 reasons I am personally committed to being more kind to myself, and 3 actions I have taken to demonstrate my commitment. I'm sure you will all understand the significance of my personal commitment, as being kind to yourself can boost your self-esteem and can make life feel lighter, and it can just make you feel happier overall.
Good.
So the first reason I am personally committed to being more kind to myself is because this year especially I've had way too much time to think, and something I've come to realize is that I am often too hard on myself. And so this becomes very evident when it comes to academics. In high school, I could try my best and I would get the immediate results I wanted, which were A's. Here in college, it's a completely different atmosphere. It's so much more challenging. And so when I try my best, I don't get the immediate results I want. I have to try extra hard. And because I'm not used to that, that made me feel very frustrated towards myself. It made me feel inadequate. It made me just feel disappointed. And that's something I really don't like. The second reason I am personally committed to being more kind to myself is because I want to fully accept myself and lead a happier life. And so sometimes I have like these existential crises or questions pop into my head, and I wonder like, why am I here? Do I even have a purpose? I sometimes feel like I don't really value myself as much, and so if I were kinder to myself, I would try different things and overall be happier. So now, 3 actions I have taken to demonstrate my personal commitment. Number 1, I've tried really hard not to compare myself to others. I realize this can be very hard considering we're always surrounded by people. And so I not only compared myself academically, but physically as well. I remember one time I was walking back to my dorm, and I was just thinking about how all these girls look so much skinnier than I did. And so I got to my dorm, and my roommates weren't there, and so I was just going to change into my pajamas because when you know that you're not going to do anything productive for a few hours or for the rest of the day, just change into your pajamas, I think. And so as I was changing, I saw myself in the closet mirror. And I just felt really, really sad. And I thought to myself, man, I'm fat and I'm ugly. And I was just so unkind to myself. And I began to cry. And that's just something I really don't want to repeat. So because I've been comparing myself less and less with people, I've been feeling more content with my body. And so I feel like if I'm content with my body, it shouldn't matter how other people look. A second action I've taken is be more open with my feelings. So, for example, last year, someone really important to me wrote me a letter. And over the summer, I would read it, and that would make me feel frustrated and sad. But I would just like repress those feelings and just put it away like, oh, okay, it really doesn't matter. And so, last week, I was cleaning my drawer, and I came upon the letter. And so I read it this time. And I just explored my feelings and let myself feel them. And so all that frustration and sadness that I associated with the letter just came out. And I thought that was very kind to myself because we often tell others, oh, just let it all out, you'll feel better. But we don't really do that with ourselves. A third action I've taken is give myself some me time. So midterms week was very stressful and time was something I needed more of. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to give myself some me time. And so what I did is I would just like go outside, maybe to the bench near Hedrick where the squirrels are always playing and just sit down. I wrote some poetry, I got some ice cream, and that made me feel very, very happy. Overall, these 3 actions I took made me feel so much more confident, happier, relaxed. It made me finally understand what it is to be kind. And I began to wonder why I hadn't done this before. In summary, I have told you 2 reasons why I'm personally committed to being more kind, and 3 actions I have taken to demonstrate my personal commitment. There should be no doubt in this room that I am personally committed to being more kind. And I agree. Kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness. Kindness in giving creates love. And if there's something I've been feeling, it's confidence and love. Thank you.
What was the time?
4:59.
4:59. Perfect. Okay. We're somewhere around here, or there, or there, or there. Yeah.
Hi, Hazy.
Hi, Hazy.
I really liked your speech because you were really personal about your stories, and I think that made connect to all the audience. I could really relate to what you were talking.
Right.
So I think you did a really good job in conveying your emotions through your stories. So good job.
Right, it was very compelling because it was so honest. Yes. Thank you, Hazy. Improvement?
Hi everyone, I'm Nellie.
Hi, Nellie.
I think it was really admirable the way people don't realize how hard it is to get up there and say their biggest insecurement, but it's actually much harder than it looks, and I want to commend you for doing that because it's much more difficult than it looks. If I had to say something, which I hate doing because I thought it was so good from the beginning, is I lost my train of thought.
From the beginning, something at the beginning you didn't like? I lost my train of thought. Well, if you don't have it, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. Esmeralda, I liked your speech. I loved your honesty. Thank you. It took courage to do that. Thank you for trusting us. And it's what I was looking for with this personal commitment speech. And if you've not read Lao Tzu, I recommend it. He has a lot of wonderful ideas and things to say, and his thoughts on kindness were well spoken, well put, and apropos to your speech. So that was a good beginning. Now, your goal was to be kind to yourself, and you were going to give us 3 actions and how you feel about those actions. And you sold us by saying that it could help the audience's self-esteem and make them feel happier if they would be kinder to themselves. So that was a good SIG statement. Now, let's talk about your reasons. First off, you talked about being at UCLA, where you went from a high school where you put out some effort and got A's, and now you're a little fish in a big pond, and it's you have to put out maximum effort. This is no longer, the local high school. This is a real university, and so it requires, you up your game. And so that's what you're realizing, and that was your first realization that that if you want to perform at the level you were performing in high school, you're going to have to do something different. I want to talk about that in a minute, however. Second reason you said is, I want to be able to accept myself and lead a happier life. You talked about your existential crisis, and you said, I'm wondering why it exists, why I'm even here, meaning in UCLA. I sometimes feel unhappy and I don't understand why. I realize because I'm not kind to myself. If I'm more kind to myself, I'd be happy and motivated to try new things. Strong words there, and we all have those kinds of doubts. And first off, I sense that some people tie their self-esteem to their grades. And I think that's a mistake. And so if you're doing that, I would urge you to meditate about that and think about that, because grades aren't the only thing that make a person. And no one's going to ask what your GPA is out in life and all this other stuff. And if you have a balance and you do well enough to learn the material and you're doing other things, except if you're planning to go to graduate school or law school, it's a different thing. The other thing that I would suggest here is that you said try new things. One of the great things about UCLA, but UCLA is not for the shy, you have to be forward and go and talk to professors and join clubs, because there's a million of them. And there's spring skiing and debate clubs, and every club you can think of that you could join and connect with people and get a great education beyond the classroom and cramming into a hall of 500 and having information thrown at you by a professor who expects you to regurgitate and call that education. I don't think so, right? I think that's pseudo-education. Okay, enough of the sermon. Okay, now, on your actions, I was very touched by you telling us that you thought you're fat and ugly, and you cried about it, and you feel bad about your body, and you put on your pajamas because, hey, I ain't going anywhere, and this is it for the evening. That was a very vivid and honest story that you told us, and I was very touched by it, and thank you for sharing that. I like the way you came out of that and talked about accepting yourself and your body as it is, and that's not as the media and other people have conditioned us to say. Skinny is the only beauty in the world. As for being more open to your feelings, I like the story of the letter and the catharsis that you had and you letting it all out. I would also, as I said to a couple of other students in class, the counseling service is good. It's free, and it's another way to let out emotions and things that you're holding inside if you're continuing to hold them inside. But it's the metaphor I use is emotions that are held inside are like a snake in a basket. You can hold it down, but you never know when it's going to jump out and bite you. And that's what emotions do when you hold them in and down. They have a way of sneaking out and biting you and getting in the way of optimal living. Okay, on your third action, you talked about midterms being stressful and you found a way to decompress. I would again suggest that you continue to do that you find a time for a quiet time, a meditation time, so that you decompress and get out of the, off the treadmill. I liked your feelings about how you performed these actions. You felt better and, so forth. So that was good. Your summary or conclusion was fine. Your tie back was excellent. You said your kanais were to be within the time frame. Don't forget to mention anything, and don't say or ah. How did it go?
I did not forget to mention anything last time, which was really a relief. I stayed within the time frame, which was surprising because I'm usually under it by a lot of seconds.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure about the whole ums and ahs because I wasn't very conscious of it.
Okay.
So.
You can watch tonight. They weren't excessive, I can tell you that. This in the front a little bit. Watch your hands and behind, so just let them free and gesture naturally would be good. But you did a good job today, and you got the assignment, which is mostly what I was after, which was a personal, authentic speech about yourself, which this was. Thank you. Okay, that will bring us to we're on C's, right? Devin Kelly, not in class anymore. Rachel's not in class. Is that all the C's? Okay, I guess you get a chance. I guess you lucked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like maybe if we've got extra time, we might want to do some of the intro buddies.
Yeah, we have a few minutes. My 2 o'clock class is very bitter when I come late. So that's why I let you guys out early so I can get to my 2 o'clock class, and I have to go gather all this material up and carry it there. So, but yeah, we can do it. We can do your intro today. Okay, wow, you're tall. Jesus Christ. Oh, you're already at the back of the green. Okay, yeah. Okay, he stands before you managing attention. He's got his hands in his pocket. Communicating respect non-verbally, saying to himself, I respect my audience, and means it. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi everybody, my name's Gabe.
Hi Gabe.
So an anonymous quote I found said that be sure to taste your words before you spit them out. And I thought this was, I relate to this a lot because I think that many times we forget how powerful words are to both good and bad. And today I'd like to share with you my personal commitment to understand how powerful words are and to stop using hurtful words in everyday language. I'm going to tell you 2 stories about why I think this, and I'm going to tell you 3 reasons that I'm going to use to fix this. And again, I'd just like to say I really don't, there was a point in my life where I didn't really understand how powerful words are, especially, being a freshman in high school. Everybody says some stuff that at the moment is funny, but as become a somewhat functional adult, you start to realize that some things are just not okay to say. So first I want to talk to you about, it was about 2 months ago, me and one of my friends, let's call him Kevin, were with one of my newer friends that I had just met about 2 weeks ago. So my friend Kevin asked me, hey Gabe, do you want to go out and get something to eat? And I responded, I'm down like I have an extra chromosome. It was a Down syndrome joke, and my friend Kevin started laughing. The newer friend actually said, well, my sister has Down syndrome, and it's not funny at all. And at the moment, when I said it, I thought like, oh, I'm being funny. But then after he replied like that, I felt humiliated. I felt bad. I just felt like a horrible person. And so that made me kind of realize that some things are not okay to say in front of really anyone. The second reason is because I was helping my little cousin with a homework assignment about 2 weeks ago. And she was reading, in her class, she was reading a famous short story that I had read when I was her age. It's called Flowers for Algernon. And it was an amazing short story. I totally forgot about it. But in a nutshell, it just talks about a mentally disabled man who, he's part of an experiment and he quickly becomes a genius. But it's an experimental process, and by the end of the story, he becomes mentally handicapped again at the end. And it's just very painful to see that he realized once he was a genius how people were treating him, how people treated other mentally handicapped people, and how wrong it was. And then when he became mentally handicapped again, while he didn't retain any of the genius, he still knew and understood how not okay people are to those who are mentally handicapped. So those are my 2 stories that made me realize a lot that I need to stop using certain words that hurt people. And I'm going to give you 3 things that I've done in my commitment to stop this. So the first one is just to stop watching reruns of South Park in my spare time. A lot of the reason I use the R word is because of that show, and I watch a lot of vulgar stuff like that. So maybe just stop watching vulgar stuff in my free time. Another one is kind of negative conditioning. I actually, every time I say the R word or anything like that, I just started pinching myself. And it sounds silly, but eventually, I've only been doing this for about a month or so, but eventually you start to notice like, oh, I'm about to say this, but I'm going to pinch myself if I do. And that's kind of just helping me realize that it's just not okay to say. And lastly, it's just a general thing, is to realize that, because I've just really not had a censor for a long time, ever since I was in middle school, is just to, before I say things, before I blurt stuff out, because I blurt a lot of things out, is just to kind of stop and think like, okay, how's this going to be taken? Because before it was just like, oh, I'm going to say this because I want to say this. And just kind of stop and realize that what I say may have a different effect on one person than it might on myself. So in summary, I've given you two reasons that I want to personally commit to watch what I say more, and I've given you 3 things that I'm trying to do to do this. And there should be no doubt in this room that I am personally committed to changing the way I talk and what I say when I say it. And I just think that quote is very powerful, because it's when it says taste what you say, it's like a lot of the things you say, especially things that are just like reactionary, you just kind of say them. You don't really realize, or sometimes don't even care, like, oh, well, that girl might see it like this, that guy might see it like this, even though I think it's hilarious, or any other different emotions. So just to be a little bit more mindful of other people. And thank you for listening to me.
Time.
4:33.
Thank you. Okay, where are we? Here? Here? Yeah. You go back to the center.
I'm Nathan.
Hi, Nathan.
I thought you did your speech very well. You're very loud. Everyone, I heard you great, and you were very confident up there. Thanks so much. Good job.
Front row didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Hi
guys, I'm Anise.
Hi, Anais.
So Gabe, I really liked your speech. I really appreciate your personal commitment. I think that's really awesome. If I could recommend one thing, I feel like you walked a lot and it was a little distracting, but besides that, it was really good.
Yeah, and just on that point, I'd like you to end up back at center.
Yeah, I realize
if you
I'm
can.
here.
You ended up on the left. Be sure to taste your words before spitting them out. Yeah, it's kind of a vivid quote. If you know who said it, that would be good. You can say, try, couldn't find it. The way to, we want to just start our quotes and say them. We want to say, I have a quote today, and it is, taste your words before you spit them out. Just get silence and then taste your words before. It's a little more dramatic and better. So, your personal commitment is to stop using derogatory words in everyday language, and you were going to give us 2 reasons and 3 actions. Your SIG statement was, okay, I like to have the words you, or to sell to the audience, and you're still not selling in your SIG statement. You talked about words could harm others and stuff, but you will like my speech because I'm talking about something that you should care about, that sort of thing. On your main body, your 2 reasons. Your first reason was your best story, when you told a joke about an extra chromosome, the Down syndrome joke. And your friend, instead of remaining silent, corrected you and said that I have a little sister with Down syndrome and shut your little trap. And that was good for you to experience this. And this is how we grow, when people don't suffer in silence, but they speak up, just as when people hear the N word or the F word for homosexuals, they say, I'm not real comfortable with that language anymore, ladies and gentlemen, right? So it was a pretty good story. Like to hear a little moral at the end of it, but that was good. On your second story, The Flowers for Algernon, really more of, it wasn't much of a personal story, just that you read it to your niece or your cousin or something, but we didn't really learn a lot about you so much in this speech very much, as we've seen from some of the other speeches. And I'd like to see more you learn to open up and share more of you, of who you are, and be more authentic that way, which is what I was after in this speech. On your actions, yes, I guess South Park uses the R word excessively, and yes, and the pinching yourself before you say things, especially if you have a proclivity to say a lot of things and rotten things or other things, then by means continue to pinch yourself. I didn't get your 4th step of, when I perform these actions, I feel like I'm growing as a person, like I'm not an animal that just repeats, bad jokes and, offends people and I don't care, and all this, that I'm not hurting people and I don't care anymore. I'm a more caring person. That's what you wrote, and I would have liked to have heard that.
Yeah.
Your summary was good, your conclusion was good, and your tie-back was fine. So my big concern just was mainly, as I said in every email I've sent in my introduction to how to do the speech, the emphasis of the speech is on personal. So take my instructions to heart. But you got the job done. Thank you. Okay, we've had a volunteer to do her, what's our talent? A volunteer to do one intro speech.
I already did mine.
Oh, okay. Any other people want to do one today? Okay, well, I guess that settles that. Okay, our work is done for the day. Return with honor. Oh, can you hand me the other extra blah blah blahs? Yeah, thank you. Did I get the roll sheet for today? I got it. Is today May 7th? No. Oh, there it is.
Can I sign the roll?
Yeah, sure. Bye. Thanks for timing. All right. Bye. All right, stop.